Yo, gonna go over my trades for today. Let's just get right into it. Yeah. So today was a gap down day. Well, right now I'm recording this Wednesday night. But yeah, today was a gap down day. Um, because Nvidia reported news of taking a $5 billion charge based off of the new tariffs. I didn't really read too much into it, but yeah, I knew that Nvidia was down several percentage point before the open, and so are like the major tech stocks as well. Right. So usually with like a sizable gap down, I kind of expect the market to manipulate higher a little bit before having a quick run lower. And so that was my trade idea coming into the day. Right. Let's go on the 4 hour chart. So 4 hour chart kind of aligned with my shorter term bearish bias. Basically, there was a range compression here, which we mentioned in the previous videos. A failed breakout here, and then expecting price to rotate lower, targeting this is the most obvious draw on liquidity, and this later on, maybe next week, and eventually filling this inefficiency. I don't think any moves towards this or like trying to fill this will happen this week because it's a shortened trading week. Um, but who knows? Who knows? Right. Yeah. So let's go on. Let's do 1 hour chart. 1 hour chart, kind of the same thing. Um, I was expecting price to rotate lower, taking out these. Like this was the most obvious draw on liquidity for me. Right. Let's go down to the 15-minute chart and get more granular. So these were my levels coming today. Only thing that I was interested in was PDL, in terms of like the higher time frames because no other um draw was obvious. Nothing was really present because if you think about it, we are in like a large range, so nothing was really standing out to me. I mean, obviously there's many things you could point out. Um, but I don't think any of them mattered while we're still in this range. Right. So Asia session was pretty muted. London session had a kind of like a news wick higher. So it completely engulfed Asia session. And usually that calls for high resistance liquidity run conditions. So I was expecting a little bit of chop coming into the day. Right. So coming into the day right here, the market started um, having an impulse leg higher right at the open, and this is to be expected because like right after this big gap down, if there's no immediate weakness, usually people try to buy the dip, and the market rides higher for a little bit. Right. And also there was news at 8:45. So, in anticipation of the news, um, most likely people won't be trying to put any meaningful positions on. So, this is just my thought process. The more inexperienced traders would probably, try to bid the market up while, the more experienced traders wouldn't really be taking action prior to the news. And so that makes it pretty prone to kind of having like a manipulation leg higher right at the open. And yeah, that's what we got. Right. So coming out of this, so price rejected here. Is this like a 15-minute? Let's see. Yeah, kind of. So yeah, I saw this like order block-ish on the higher time frame, which was like also a SIBI right here. I didn't really give it that much significance just because, well, we're in a range and it nothing really stuck out to me. The trade idea that I had was okay, I'm gonna fade this move higher because it being such a large gap down, people are trying to buy it, so I'm gonna fade that. And I'm expecting this large BISI to get completely filled. Um, just as like the psychology behind it is that I'm pretty sure people would give a lot of significance to such a large busy because you can see it on multiple time frames. However, I thought the draw was lower because of the 4 hour chart failed breakout that I was talking about, and also just like the gap and go scenario, gap and go setup, right? So this was a kind of like a perfect entry right after news. Price displays below these lows and had a retracement higher. Um, and yeah, and eventually took out London lows, which was a valid target. Um, as you can see later later on in the trade, later on when I get into my executions, I did execute on this move, but not as good as I wanted to, and it ended up being quite the roller coaster. Yeah. And you know, I kind of expected high resist liquidity run conditions because a London session completely engulfed Asia session. Um, but I was just being hard-headed. And I'm gonna get into that more when we get into the trades. Yeah. Um, Afterwards, Powell was speaking. I didn't really think there was much significance in this random Powell speech, but I guess it's Powell, so market did have quite the reaction. I was able to catch a little bit of it because I thought the draw was lower, and I thought this move higher was just manipulation. Um, yeah, right. So let's get into my executions. It's pretty shit. There's quite a bit of trades. Right. Okay. So right here at first trade, I tried to short this too prematurely. Um, Not the best trade. And not just because I lost money, but because, well, first of all, price didn't really have any market structure shift, right? It was still before news, and price is very prone to continue to go higher, especially in a manipulation wick. Not a good entry on me. Didn't really have Yeah, not really a good trade location, especially when it's still prior to the news. Like, I just needed to wait a few more minutes, right? So I got stopped out, and I took two. So usually that's like double my position size. Um, and honestly, it was a fat finger. I got filled into two, and I was too stubborn to get out and get back to my normal position size. So this first loss of double my R, like basically a 2 hour loss, was pretty annoying to me. Not yeah, yeah, it was, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty annoying to me. Um, yeah. But the next trade, I am, you know, pretty proud of my entry, right? So price rejected off of this SIBI, um, market structure shift, and then right at, the 850 macro, it came into this 1 minute order block, SIBI. No, 1 minute fair value gap, SIBI. What do you mean order block? Yeah. I got in here. Um, yeah, and so right at this London low, I wanted to take a partial, but the thing is, like, it just wicked London lows, and so I thought, this thing definitely had more room to go, and especially because on the 1 hour chart, um, well, obviously it looks much better now, but on the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart, basically it was leaving all of these like relative equal lows. Like if you look back here, right, wait, I should go on 1 minute chart to show you better. Yeah, so like basically there's like relative equal lows here. So I was like, all right, there's a gap down day. Took out London lows. I don't think that it should have, it should leave these like weak lows here. Like I don't think that's what should happen. I think that these lows are very vulnerable. Um, all these trap longs here could easily get whipped out. So I thought that this low, and honestly I don't even think it was on good volume either. Well, it was on like decent relative volume, but that's not how lows are made. Um, yeah, but I didn't take profits off here. Um, I was just trailing my stop above here. And so, yeah, I didn't really think this low was um yeah, I didn't think this low was valid, and so I kept on holding the trade. So the one thing I do have to say is that if I'm gonna take two double my position size here, I should also take it here when the setup is like truly good. Like I was really considering it here because look at this point, right? Um, news is over. It rejected right off of this, and this looks so clean. Um, literally targeting London lows. It looked too clean. I thought if I'm gonna risk two contracts on this shitty trade, I should risk two contracts on this trade as well. But I didn't take the additional contract because I was still affected by my previous trade. I was being timid, and that's a mistake. Like you can't be aggressive on your losers and timid on your winners. Like but that's something I'm gonna have to focus on and improve tomorrow. Yep. And so one thing I could have done kind of to, improve my entry was, price took this low here. And so once price takes like a internal sell side liquidity or, London lows is pretty significant. So once price takes it and doesn't really continue, um, I should expect price to take opposing liquidity before continuing if I am expecting it to continue. So like that should have been like my reason to exit, even though I wasn't really satisfied with this entry. Like in my mind, I should have been thinking, all right, price doesn't have to break these lows. Price can create as many relative equal lows as it wants. Like price doesn't have to do anything, right? So what I do know, I should have just worked on what I do know, which is price took internal sell side liquidity. And so if it's not going to continue lower, it it most likely is going to seek opposing liquidity. And so right after I broke this 9 here, um yeah, once right after I got above this 5 and the 9, I really should have considered at least taking a taking it off basically. Didn't I shouldn't have been so stubborn. And so like if I entered two position size here, I could have taken one off at London lows and try to ride the remaining one. However, that's not what I did. I only took one. I wanted to hold it. Um, at this point, I really should have taken it off, not because it ended up going higher, but because it took internal sell side liquidity, didn't continue. So most likely it's going to seek opposing liquidity. And I don't really want to be in that trade, especially after this trade just went for, I think it was like, what is this? 80? Yeah, so my entry was at 596. And right here, this was at 509. So like what? Almost like 80 something points. Um, yeah, so not really worth it at this point. Like, I should have just really considered taking it off and recalibrating and rethinking it later on. And especially since today was high resistance liquidity run conditions, like there's a lot of things pointing me to that decision. So not really just saying that just because um I ended up losing on that. But yeah, so price came up, took this swing high, made this high right here, and then swept it again. So at this point, this is also a 5 minute civvy, right? So at this point right here, when price made this wick, I entered one more, so I entered two, and so the thought process was that all right, price price failed to continue off of this, and it took opposing liquidity somewhat. Um, And so if it's gonna reverse, I think it's gonna reverse here. Also, it was the 50 MA, so I thought it was gonna reverse here. It reversed for a little bit, but it held this BISI, and also this was kind of around the end of the first AM macro. So yeah, um yeah, it ended up reversing here. So at this point, like right here, I really should have considered taking it off. And the reason being, um, is basically like a higher low off of this BISI. Um, 9 a.m. macro is over. Um, yeah, 9 a.m. macro is over. Um, yeah, it, you know, high resistance liquidity run conditions. Like price was very prone to moving higher before it would move lower. And so I should have um, been mindful of that at this point right here. The trade just doesn't really look that good anymore. So should have taken it off here, but didn't. I showed my stop loss here and I got stopped out, right? Um, I try to enter short back once again right here. Um, because I was like, all right, what if it takes out this and it just continues lower? But not a good entry on me. First of all, it's not a macro time. Um, no market structure shift. Not a good trade that I should be taking in the long run. Um, what is this trade? Oh yeah, so I got stopped out here. Then I tried to short once again. Um, and then I added to the short once again. And so basically the same reasoning, right? I thought price was gonna rotate lower just because damn, like the hourly chart and the 4 hour chart looked like or- yeah, right here. The hourly chart and the 4 hour chart looked like it wanted to reverse lower, and this was just the manipulation wick higher. Um, and also this was the second AM macro, but price didn't do that, ended up stopping me out, right? And had a manipulation leg higher. Um, and so I was watching this entire move down. I was like, damn, what did I learn? I learned that price can manipulate for as long as it wants. So there's no point in trying to, you know, chase a market structure shift before it happens. Just let it happen. This happens a lot. No, wait, no, it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens specifically on my blow up days where I keep on trying to short a move that I think has a high probability of happening. But the problem with that is that if you short too early, you're gonna rack up a lot of losses. So I really shouldn't give myself that many tries. I should be more disciplined with my tries. Um, I think the only valid trade here for this session was this move right here. Right after this, after news, displacement, retracement, and then just take it off at London lows. That would have been like the cleanest trade of the day. That would have been good. I would have been set. But instead, I I didn't do all this, you know, high resistance liquidity run conditions, and then just to get stopped out in the end, um, was really tilting. At this point, I was down around like 4.5 grand. So I really don't need to be taking all these losers to catch one trade idea. Um, no, I think that's just stupid. Um, yeah, but then price, you know, reversed and Powell was speaking, and so I have a midday continuation setup, which I thought had a probability of playing out. So when Price made this like final like manipulation leg higher, kind of retraced deeper into the 5 minute and 15 minute bissies, I mean civvies. I entered for a short, one contract, and then I entered for a short, one more contract once because well, Powell was speaking, and once I saw this move here where it made another manipulation leg higher. I was like, all right, Powell speaking, there is a high chance that price reverses from here and uses Powell as an excuse to reverse. Um, that is what ended up happening, and I rode the move down, took it out here, and yeah. So this move was like 150 points on two contracts. I made a little bit over $5,000. Made all the losers back, but this is really shitty trading. I'm not gonna lie. The only trade I should have taken today was just this. This would have been a 90-point winner. You know, that's all I needed. I, I mean, yeah, yeah, taking these trades are cool. Um, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm being honest. I probably would not have held for as long as I did if I didn't have so many losers, right? My head was kind of all over the place. I had quite a bit of things going on today. Um, but that just goes to show, like, whenever I'm trading, I need to have a clear mind. I shouldn't trade on a time limit. Um, yeah, that should be the only thing that I'm focusing on, right? And also, this was a clear draw right here. Oh, this was a clear draw. Based on the my higher time frame thesis. And yeah, that's my trades for the day. Um, I feel like my bad habits are catching up to me. I'm not gonna lie. Looking at my let's look at the month. So look at the Pinot graph. It's pretty shit. It really should not look like this at all. Look at all these. Not a single winner. Not a single winner. And then one winner made everything back. But I don't need to be doing hat tricks like this. I don't need to be doing this. I just need to take one clean trade. Um, that's it. Yeah, but same thing like this is typically, how the blow up days happen where I don't even catch a single winner. Not even one winner. Um, because I'm chasing one trade idea. This day I was chasing one trade idea, um, and I ended up keep on getting, manipulated, and the market continues to do that for as long as it wants, right? And the next day I finally caught the move and made $8,000. But I don't need to be doing this. Instead, I could have just, taken like a small loser for the day and then capitalize massively the next day. I shouldn't really, try to be doing all of this. So yeah, got a lot to work on tomorrow. Gonna clean up my trading. Like tomorrow's the last day of the trading week because there's no trading on Friday because of Good Friday. Um, Basically, the main focus for tomorrow is to come in with a good thesis, um, execute on that thesis, um, and if my thesis isn't playing out, don't try to force it too many times. Um, yeah, don't try to force it too many times. Let's say after one time, if it's not working out, I really, 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 really need to have a lot of proof, a market structure shift, displacement, um, during macro time. I really need all the stars to align to get my second entry. Because if I'm going to play the same idea, why would I play the same idea on the same chart that didn't work out? I need to play it on a chart where the conditions have massively improved in my favor for me to take that trade. Otherwise, I'm just going to be chasing an idea. And I know that chasing an idea is how I had these big blow up days. And so that's my plan on how to improve. Let's work on it tomorrow. Yep, that's it. Thank you.